We are live,
Yeah.
most likely.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Holistic Vet Sisters. Look who's back. Or she's underneath on my screen, but probably she's up there. Whenever I look at the recording, it's always different. We're always positioned slightly different, so you never
Yeah.
know. But at the moment, Tina is down under, literally. She is in Australia, and it's kind of the middle of the night. So Tina has to speak quite quickly so she doesn't wake up her flatmate. We're really, really pleased that she's back. Those of you that
Yeah.
have been with Holistic Vet Sisters since the beginning, you know that the three of us started this. Yeah, so Tina is over in Australia. She got a job, a vet job over there, and she headed over there. And we haven't had her on since until today. So it's really great that she's back. And we do have some questions that we're going to answer for you today. But we also really want to hear from Tina. We want to hear all about the holistic and natural veterinary care movement over there. And obviously, all about the kangaroos and the koalas.
They're cute, aren't they?
Welcome back.
Yes,
Thank you.
welcome back.
It's very nice to talk to you both again. It's been a while now.
It has. And you know what? I think this is pretty exactly a year since our very first live. It must be.
Really? I
Okay.
think maybe it is. We
We started
started
in early December.
officially. Yes, we did. It's probably like our 1 year anniversary or something.
Oh, we
Probably.
should have looked this up, shouldn't we? Could
I
have had a little
know.
party.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, we kind of are.
we are the party.
We
So
are the
do
Yeah.
you
party.
want to tell us? I mean, have you met kangaroos and like I mean met them. I don't mean like seen them on the side of the road.
Okay. Well, not so much kangaroos yet, unfortunately, but I'm getting there, hopefully. So yeah, I moved to Australia mostly because I had a dream, how everyone has like the American dream. I started with that probably like in middle school, and I always felt like I wanted to go out where things were bigger. And then I went to the States, and I thought, that was going to be it, but it kind of wasn't for me. For me, it was just like the politics were really bad, the healthcare system was really bad, the economy was really bad. Like there was such a big gap between like the poor and the rich, and I just didn't quite catch that. Like I really liked it, but it didn't quite catch that vibe, and I didn't feel like that was the American dream. You know what I mean? And then later, I think the same year, I went to Australia, and then I was like, yeah, this is it. The healthcare was a lot better. The politics are, you don't hear about them as much, and they're not as messed up as they are over there. And it's warm, it's beautiful. Everything is kind of like in the US, just not as crowded. Everything's huge. Everything's, beautifully warm. The nature is beautiful, and yeah, and the holistic care is a lot more frequent around here than it is in Europe, which is also one of the reasons I went, because I wanted to do more vet work that was more aligned with what I wanted to do, and learn a bit more, see what they do here. And I'm not gonna lie, like even like the first day I got here, I was like, oh my God, I just went into like a shop and there's like gluten-free, lactose-free, keto everywhere in the shops. It's amazing. They're just so far ahead of us in Europe. It's a bit like the US. It's just, oh, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, so you can be your healthiest self out there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot easier here, or actually it can go both ways. I'm used to in Europe kind of I don't eat like gluten and lactose. I'm a bit sensitive with food and stuff like that. So when I go out, I'm kind of like if I see something that I can actually eat, that is a bit of a cheat meal, I will buy it. But here, every time I go out, there is a cheat meal. So I can't have that habit anymore because then I'll just eat cheat meals all the time
Yeah.
because they're like everywhere, which is great. And yeah, like the clinics here, like there's such much like a bigger integrative community. And right after I got there, I don't know if like you watching, remember we had Kathy Konak on quite a few months ago from Australia, and she hosted a big integrative veterinary seminar. And then I went there and I met, everyone that is around, and there's so many brilliant professionals within the veterinary industry that are doing integrative work, which was just incredible. Like there was such a good community because we're all like on the same page. It just feels really well. You don't have to be scared of like, oh, should I mention this about acupuncture? Maybe they'll frown upon their nose, like I went to one similar earlier, and I was like, he was talking about a paralysis of hind limbs or something like that. And I was like, why didn't you talk about acupuncture? There's actually studies out showing that it works sometimes better than surgery. And he was like, was kind of like he didn't believe in it. And I was like, well, you don't have to believe in it. It's on the paper.
Mm.
It's on the research
Yeah.
papers. And it's just, oh, yeah. So it's just nice to be around your own people in that sense. So I learned a lot. Actually, there was a lot of interesting topics on there. They were talking about a lot of like CBD on animals, and the use of CBD in animals here is legal and a lot more common. Mushrooms, we talked about nutrition. Ian Bellinghurst was on there.
Oh, yeah.
There was
Oh,
Yeah, of
wow.
course. Yeah.
Did you get a selfie? Did you?
I got a selfie, a picture,
Oh,
and I actually even drove him home. So we had a
Oh
nice
my
conversation.
goodness.
oh,
Brilliant.
Yeah,
wow.
very nice guy.
Yeah,
And he's
because
kind of like the
really,
founding father of raw food.
yeah,
So
he
He's probably
is. I
one of
was
the
just
most
going to say.
influential vets ever, just from
mhm.
pioneering raw food. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, the impact he's had, I don't think you can exaggerate.
No,
Well,
I think
Lonsdale is kind of like what I
Sure.
would call is the grandfather of raw feeding, but he never went into commercializing it, whereas Billinghurst went into commercializing it. He was the one that came up with the way to turn it into a product that the everyday person
But I
can
also think
purchase.
Billinghurst's book was the kind of first.
Give you dog
It
a
could have
bone.
been. I don't know who bought their book out first, actually. I'll have to look. I had them both back in the day, but yeah, it
I
could
know
have been Give a
Billinghurst was
Dog a Bone.
93. I would put my money on Billinghurst, but let's just call them the joint grandfathers of raw feeding. But certainly
But
Billinghurst.
yeah,
Billinghurst in my book is
they're not because Lonsdale is so pro just raw meaty bones and a bit of offal and what have you,
the.
that he doesn't look favorably on raw feeding turned into the mince that's been commercialized, interestingly enough.
Yeah,
But
it
anyway,
kind of takes the natural part out of it a little bit, doesn't it?
well, this is it, isn't it? That's kind of his argument. Then on the other hand, it wouldn't have reached so many dogs, so or cats and cats.
Yes.
Anyway, enough about that. Back to you. So
Anyway, we are awestruck with you having been in the same car
yeah,
as
we
Ian
are.
Billinghurst, because that's something.
Yeah, it was funny because everyone was kind of like, she even said at the end, like, okay, who wants a picture with Ian? And everyone's like, oh. So it's like we get our own little community with our own little celebrities. It's funny.
So cool.
So yeah, very cool. So yeah, I learned a lot, and there's actually one particular experience I would love to share with you because I feel like this is the right space to share it in. And that is that Kathy is doing quite a lot of animal communication.
Mm,
And I'm going to be completely honest, I've never understood how that could work. And that kind of never really been my thing. And then I stayed for the workshops that was at the end, and we did these exercises. And she said, animal communication is literally like your sixth sense. It's like your intuition, and anyone can do it. It's
mm,
not like you're born with a superpower. Like literally anyone can do it. And I was like, how is this possible? Like on the phone, like when you're so far away, like how does that work? And then we did a lot of exercises, starting with like a flower, going through like, okay, where do you think this flower's been? What do you think this flower's gone through? And just everyone closed their eyes. We were like a pretty big group of people. And then every time we went around, like the stories always kind of seemed to line up, but being viewed from different angles. So nobody really contradicted anyone for almost anything. And I was just amazed, like, wow, this is incredible. And like everyone kind of contributes and sees something. And it was me and a couple other who took a bit longer to kind of actually start to see things and to share things. But at the end of the course, we worked on like giving each other pictures of our animals and talking to our animals and stuff like that. And I gave mine to one that is quite famous. I remember her,
Mm,
Christina King.
from America, isn't
Yeah.
she? Yeah. Is she
Um,
Australian?
Australian, I think, yeah.
Oh, I see. I belong to some groups where I just assumed she was in America, I think. Never mind. Okay.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I actually got paired up with her as well, which was really cool. And she started talking about my animal, and I was just awestruck. I was like, oh my God, like this is first like overwhelming and very accurate, and she described her like spot on without having said anything about her. And she also presented some potential problems that I should probably focus more on. So it was so interesting. And I actually shared some things as well. And she was confirming everything I said, was like, yep, that sounds about right. Yep, that sounds about right. I was like, wow. I was just, I was so amazed. Like, I don't know, I can't even explain it. I was just, this is amazing. This, wow. Like anyone can do it. They just have to learn how to open themselves up. So,
Of course we can. I mean, we do it
yeah,
all the time and we don't realize we're doing it. It's just when you practice in an environment like that and it's reflected back to you, it
Mm.
does make you go, wow. But we literally do this all the time as human
yeah,
beings. And dogs are in their field, in their energy field all the time. They're sensing the world with that energy field. So it's no wonder we can pick up things from their energy field, you know? So,
yeah. It's
and we do this all
incredible.
the time. Like if I mean, even me and you have done it. We've been like texting each other at the same time. Oh, we just text each other at the same time. It's like things like that. This is all
Line
part
it.
of that field, energy field, that you can tap into. And so many different people have tried to say what it is. I mean, I love Jim Al-Khalili's book, Dr. Jim Al-Khalili, and he talks about quantum biology and quantum entanglement linked into ourselves in what he calls our messy biology bodies, the fields of energy that are measurable around us and from us, and really that are magnetoelectric beings, you know, that we don't, it
Mm.
doesn't get talked about. But this is why things like homeopathy can work, because we're a field of energy. That's what we are. That's who we truly are. That's what makes us up.
Exactly.
And to
And
be
I
able
think,
to then communicate that, I mean, I've had people hold a ring of mine and tell me things about myself, and the ring wasn't talking. What you're doing is you're connecting with the animal's field. It's just such an amazing concept. And I think when you're in an environment like that where everybody's doing it, it enhances everyone's
Yeah.
intuitive ability, everyone's field sensing ability. It's just wonderful. And you being an empath, I mean, no wonder you were good at it. Goodness.
yeah, surprised. I was very surprised because I've always been very conventional and like medicine and research focused. I've never really looked that much into it. I was awestruck how accurate it was when people were sharing stories. Like people were crying when they were sharing stories and they were
Oh,
like, wow, this is so accurate. So it was just a wow experience.
yeah, yeah.
And I
And
think also like as
go on.
humans, we bury our intuition a lot. Like
Mhm.
we have things inside that we know, but then we kind of push these feelings away because we think logic and then we think physical things, and then we have so many thoughts coming in between and in the way of it that we just push away our intuition. And I think that really taps into that intuition. And I feel like it changed the way even I work around animals now. So like I've been training these force and kind of just intuitively I just spit out what I'm thinking, and that's literally like the horse kind of talking through me. That's like I'm just explaining what he's feeling and why he's doing, because every time they get grumpy or they do something weird, it's a reason for it,
Of
and now
course.
it just kind of flows out. So now because essentially you do know in here, but you just have all these other factors that are like blinding what you're thinking inside, and now it kind of flows more naturally, and I just think it's incredible and everything makes so much more sense. And yeah, I really think it makes me like even better at working with animals. So yeah, it was
Oh my
incredible.
God, I thought I couldn't love you anymore. I thought it's so cool that's happened. I want this for everyone. I really want this for
Yeah.
everyone. I could actually cry. Because honestly, when people come on my retreats and these sorts of things happen, and you just think, wow, you know, and this kind of happened to me so long ago, you actually forget how powerful it is when you realize your own empowerment and your own connection to frequency. Because what's happening in the world through design or default, I don't care if it's conspiracy or if it's just happening through greed. It's design or default. Everything is against us being that way.
Mm.
And we have light bulbs that are against us being that way because they have the wrong frequencies for our cells and our field health. We have food that's the wrong frequencies for us. You know, we have water that isn't awake, hasn't got that enlivening frequency. We have all these things. I mean, I could go on all night about all the things. Like when we were here with Dr. Marlene, and she was talking about how microplastics affect our bodies and all these things, what they're doing is they're pulling us, they're separating us from who we truly are as frequency beings and being able to connect with that. I mean, we use sat navs constantly. I never had, I still don't have a sat nav because something about me always knows the way, especially if I'm going to a friend's house and I've never been there before. Like, I just have that thing about me that I know where to go because I learned at a very young age how to utilize that aspect of me. It doesn't make me better because everybody can do it. But we have so many things put in front of us by design or default that is pushing that away from us, separating that. And it's so vital that we come back to who we truly are. It really, really is. So the more people that can talk about this kind of thing, it's just wonderful. And the more we can go and experience it, you know?
Yeah. It is incredible, how we've gone so far in biology. Like, look at all the drugs we have, biochemistry,
Yeah.
look at all the things we have. And then you look at physics, and we haven't gotten anywhere,
Well,
Mm.
we have.
really.
It just isn't in the mainstream. I mean, it was 2022 that the quantum biology department started in Surrey University, but you don't see their studies and findings published in the way that you see other biology department. Yeah,
Exactly. It's much harder to measure.
well, it's not as publicized, I don't
But
think.
the way I think of it is that chemistry was the
That was
previous centuries.
before
Chemistry is where
2022.
discoveries were made, the periodic table, all the advances, and they were in chemistry. But in recent years, it's all happening in physics. Space
Mm.
exploration, science, where science is at is physics. And I think medicine is just lacking terribly behind in that field, because when you talk about medicine, it's very, very strictly confined to chemistry still. It's like it's 100 or 200 years behind. We're still, everything has to be milligrams of something, otherwise it's not real. Whereas actually in the rest of the scientific world, physics is where it's at. And
Mm.
acupuncture, homeopathy, the sort of things you're talking about now, it's all
Mm.
physics. It's
Mhm.
not, it's
Mhm.
just not chemistry. And I think it's just in the field of medicine that we're still stuck in chemistry, and not
Yeah.
quite ready to move forward. But I mean, physics is where it's at, and physics is where it's happening, and physics is what we're talking about now. And for me, I don't think it's. I think it's not doing anything a favor when we sometimes try to mystify it, and sort of
Oh, yeah,
make it
exactly.
make it opposed to science or opposed to reality or rationality. I think it's just a, a, a border or a boundary. It's physics, and it's something that's really exciting, and it's where
Well,
we're.
because people haven't thought that it was measurable.
Mm,
That's why. So it's been considered woo-woo, but it's not. I mean, if I've got so much science behind measurable emotional energy in our fields. It's out there. You just have to know where to look for it, I think. Or it finds you if
Yeah.
you're that kind of person who's wondering about it all the time. Like you were probably wondering about this deep down, and then it's found you. It's reflected in your reality.
Yeah, and it's funny in the work that I do now as well, I get to do quite a lot of research, and it's actually so interesting. Why I don't understand, like, why are these things so suppressed? Like literally the other day I was looking at ingredients like hawthorn, and literally in published data it says it's effective even at homeopathic levels.
mm,
And then I'm like, if all these things are out, why are people saying it's not working? It's like it's on the paper that it works. I've been looking at so many studies on essential oils, like even just used topically. And it literally says in like so many studies that it works and shows the efficacy. And
Mm,
then people are like, woo woo. What is woo woo once it's published? And especially once it's published to this rate where there's like multiple studies supporting, like,
yeah,
why is it woo woo? I don't
yeah.
understand.
Yeah, it just because someone else said it was at some point and it made them feel slightly uncomfortable. So now it's woo-woo.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
strange, isn't it?
Yeah, the things that we don't understand, that's what it is. If you don't understand something, you're either intrigued and interested or you just push it away.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
exactly that when there is, because that's what science is. The
Meant to be.
definition of science is
Meant to be.
there's something I don't
Yeah.
understand. I need to be curious about that. I need to explore it. I need to, in an unbiased way, examine it and learn about it. And in the name of science, so commonly someone does the exact opposite and say, I'm a scientific person, so this I can't explain that, so I'm not going to look at it. And that is, in fact, the opposite of science. Is such a
Mm.
paradox to me that, people just,
Yeah.
in the name of science, do the exact opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. This is it.
Science is not knowing and exploring the stuff that we don't know in an unbiased way.
Science is a point of inquiry.
Mm,
And if you're not inquiring, if you've just gone, oh no, that can't be true,
yeah.
you know, yeah, should be asking questions all
Science,
the
exactly,
time.
exactly. Science is not having the
Mm.
answers. Science is asking questions, more and more questions. That's the whole point of it. So
Mm.
that whole debate,
What
like
I,
Tina was saying, there
Yeah.
it doesn't work, and there's no proof. And first of all, there is, and second of all, so what? Let's examine it. I mean, rejecting
let's try
something
it.
on that basis is as far away from a scientific approach as you can get. It's so
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah, what I've realized a lot with this type of medicine as well is that it really is about, like in homeopathy, you need to find the right remedy. You need to find that one thing that this animal really is lacking or is needing. And when you hit that sweet spot, that's when you get like your big results. And that
Mm.
can be difficult to try to figure out which one for which individual, because they can have the same symptoms as another one, but one thing that works on one doesn't work on the other one. It's not as easy as just giving a drug that works for the same symptoms on everyone, kind of blocks a pathway. It's a lot more deeper than that, and it's things we can't always see, so it's a bit complicated, but it's amazing.
Yeah. And that's an understatement. I think it's amazingly complicated, but it's about finding that one thing that resonates, find the right frequency, find what resonates with that individual patient. And there's lots of different ways into that, depending on whether you're an acupuncturist or a homeopath or whatever your method is. But it's about seeing or perceiving that individual and then using that as your way in. It's incredibly powerful.
At that moment in time as
Mm,
well,
mm.
because then you make that energy shift and then they might need something else completely different because there's a different frequency. The frequency shifted from the frequency that supported the symptoms you were seeing to maybe the frequency of a different symptom or it's like when we were saying about before once I think about over 48 hours I went through all the different symptoms of a cold
Mm.
and I just kept taking the next homeopathic remedy and it kind of I felt it leaving my body in the end. It was like I went through all the different phases that you would normally go through in like a week or
Yeah.
2 weeks. I went through in like, well, less than 48 hours because I just kept looking up the remedies for those symptoms and it just kept moving. So, we've got so much going on in our field, and I think some of it is part of us and it's what has made us as an individual, but then there's a lot that's moving and transforming all the time as
Energy is
well.
always
So
moving
it's
from one shape to the next.
yeah, 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 resonating differently.
It's also what we call it in acupuncture. We like to see peeling the onion, because often we have like deep rooted issues and then we have secondary issues because of it. And then when you treat, usually one problem goes away and then another one, and you're kind of peeling away those
Mm,
issues. So you're left with like the deep rooted one that takes longer to heal. So yeah, I like that.
interesting.
I like to
Yeah,
work with
because it's been resonating so for longer, so it's
yeah.
stronger.
Yeah, we see it a lot on acupuncture scans, especially like on horses. When you go through their body, you will find smaller reactions, and then you'll find some that are like very prevalent and that kind of stays every time you do them. And then every time you screen the horse and you do acupuncture and wait a little bit, then the next time you screen, some of the points that was sensitive before will be gone. And then the next time and the next time, and usually you're just left with the deep rooted ones that was very prevalent to begin with. And they take a long time to kind of resolve, but
Mm,
not impossible. So
no,
yeah,
exactly. I think Dr. Victoria spoke of it like that as well, actually, when she
yeah, it's
was talking
acupuncture.
about.
Um,
Mm,
so not everyone does it. I've noticed. It's called acupuncture scanning. There's something we learn in Chi University. We study with Chi. I'm not sure if they do that with idols. Maybe they do. I'm not sure, but I know they don't learn it everywhere. So yeah, but it's an incredible tool. I like it a lot, especially in horses.
Horses are so sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know this about horses, but it becomes really clear as well when you treat them, whether it's acupuncture or homeopathy, with that sort of vibrational energy that horses just respond so well. Um,
Yeah, they do a
it's really
lot
nice
faster
to
than
treat
dogs,
horses.
actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like it's a bit like cats actually. Cats and horses, they usually respond a lot faster than dogs to acupuncture
Mm.
as well, because yeah, they're just more sensitive and there's less brain in the way, or like there's less interference. Like the dog is becomes so much like us that so humans and dogs are typically take longer to work with acupuncture because there's so much mind in the
Oh,
way.
that's
What we say.
interesting. So dogs take longer than horses, you think?
Hmm.
How
Yeah, yeah,
interesting. Because,
yeah.
see,
Maybe.
I would say that it's nothing to do with the mind. It's more to do with the fact that what you were saying about things getting stronger, with them having the biggest heart per body mass, they connect with us. So it's like what you were saying about they're connecting with us, but it's like then it becomes a unified field. So you're not just dealing with the dog, you're dealing with the guardian as well. So you, as a vet, have gone and done acupuncture on the dog. And then the minute you've turned your back, the guardians just subconsciously sent all the energy back to the dog again. So it's like, how long does it take before the two separate so that you can, you're dealing with that? Whereas I guess, like you're saying with the horse, I mean, I don't think this is the case with everyone, but for most people, they're not always with their horse, are they? Like they are with their dog. So there is a little bit more of a separation there.
Maybe. Yeah, usually they just leave me to it because it takes a while. So they just like put the
Yeah.
horse on the stall and then they leave and they come back later.
But I would guess that most people intuitively, if you ride, are aware that you need to ground yourself, you need to be emotionally balanced before you go on the horse, or before you. I think most people, whether consciously or not, if they're horse people, are aware, because the horses are so sensitive. You can't
Mm.
ride if you're angry. You can't go and handle a horse if you're, not emotionally okay yourself. And I think that's just talked about more, and the awareness about that is higher among horse people than among dog people in general. It's a huge generalization, I know, but I think there is just an awareness that horses are more, I don't know, perceptive or tuned in or reactive, or I don't know what you want to call it, but I think most people who handle a horse are aware of that. I'm going to go on the horse now. I need to just kind of, you know, just tune in to myself, more so than most of us are when we go and touch our dog or interact with our dogs. You're
Yeah,
nodding, Tina.
absolutely.
Do you agree?
I
Yeah,
do
it's like
actually, but
they're
I
flight
think we
animals.
don't realize. Yeah, they are flight animals. Yeah, well, we
Hmm.
don't realize, I don't
Compared
think,
to
how much
dogs.
we're impacting our dogs. And if we did do that, because that's what Canine Flow is teaching people to do, is to ground yourself as a
Hmm.
guardian way more than we do, way more than we do, even if we think we do it. And the
Mhm.
same with I just thought this ground as well. The horses are mostly outside, dogs are in most of the time. And I had this conversation with Julia, vet physio, who's one of my students who was, she's qualified now, but she is teaching a lot to do with nutrition and bone density and cartilage mending and everything now. And we were talking about this very thing that the dogs seem to have a lot more prevalence for cartilage issues and bone issues and all sorts. And could it be that it's because they're not on planet Earth anymore? And the dog, if the dog is descending from the wolf, would have been outdoors too. So we have completely changed them. They can't connect and do this grounding, do this earthing in the way that a dog really wants to, and they're trying to do it when they're sniffing, of course, and then we're kind of pulling them back. And so, whereas a horse is outside, and I just think we totally undervalue grounding and earthing, really.
I
Tina's
think we
yawning away.
absolutely
I'm
do.
glad it's the middle of the
Sorry.
night, not because we're boring you.
Yes. We
they're
got
not
that excuse.
necessarily mutually exclusive, but
Oh, thanks.
Sorry.
I
Yeah, it's
think it's
not
so
quite
important
that
what you're
anymore.
saying, Caroline, and I think you're absolutely right that it can be helpful to become more aware in our interactions with dogs. I think we are, a lot of us, more intuitively aware when we interact with horses. Like I said, I just had this conversation today talking to someone about their dog with anxiety about being left home alone, and how it can be really helpful to just try to project a different atmosphere around leaving. Just if the owner knows and projects and almost exaggerates that feeling that I'm going to go now and it's fine, because what easily happens in that situation, just as an example, is that you become worried because, oh no, I'm going to go now and he hates it and he's going to be scared, and then he's scared, and then you're really concerned and feel guilty because he's scared. That you can very often, at least partly, turn that around by just being much more, aware of being grounded yourself and knowing that it's okay, and projecting that to the dog. I think there's a lot to be gained from all the cues they pick up from us, and that sort of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think also
Mhm.
as a rider, there's something about the horse that is just I found very grounding. It's a little bit different than when I'm interfering with a dog. So like when you go to the stable, yes, first you have to muck out the stalls, and you kind of like you empty your head, and then you do the buckets, and then you do the water, and then I don't know, you kind of get into like this different zone. Like you have this time to like process your thoughts before you go and actually interact with the horse usually. And then I don't know, you just have this time, and then when you're on the horse, there's always so much going on, and you need to constantly kind of stimulate it because a lot of horses, if they go for too long without any messages or any response, they go, oh, what's that? Maybe I should be scared of that thing. So you have to like always be switched on, and you have to I really distract yourself kind of with that. And I feel like with a dog, you're sitting in your own, stress and misery at home. You're stressing, you're doing stuff. Oh, I need to walk the dog, just put the lead on, go out,
Yeah.
and you're still processing all those things. And that kind of maybe takes you a lot longer to ground, like it takes you a lot longer walks than to go to the stable because you have that processing time. And it's
Mm.
just the thought. I
And
feel like
maybe you're
horses are
walking
very
with a
grounding.
phone and you're talking
Oh,
on the phone or
God,
looking at
don't.
the phone
Yeah.
or listening to the phone. I think we talked about this before,
Yeah,
and the more I think
yeah.
about it, the more important I think it is that we take our time with the dog, typically on a walk, as a grounding time for both of you, to be present and to be. I think that's what our dogs need from us, really, to be available.
So shameless
Mhm.
plug, but on my website, my canineflow.com website, there are hypnotherapy audios that I've made you can download on the shop page. And if you don't want to pay and you just want a freebie, there's a super cool meditation as well that you get if you sign up to the mailing list for Canine Flow. And quite frankly, I never send emails. I'm the most useless at marketing for that. So busy with the nutrition, so you're not going to get inundated. You probably get one like twice a year or something, reminding you of my retreat dates. But
But
yeah.
Caroline, do you feel like, do you want to talk to us a little bit more about what happens on those retreats with Canine Flow?
Well, the retreats I've been running for the last 15 odd years, and the place in Wales I'm running at is now for sale. Running them at is for sale. So I don't know yet whether I can have them in 2026, but they are essentially a place to practice the practical aspects of canine flow, which you learn when you do the online course. So people do the online course and then they come on the retreats to, as a community, as a gathering, practice the techniques that we learn on the online course that transform behavior, that help you to understand dogs and see energy flow in dogs, and to understand about their field and their frequency and what that means to connect with that, and just so much stuff. It's there's a lot in the canine flow, but the
Can you
online
learn about
course is,
communication?
well, the thing is, what I find is when you do canine flow, you kind of get the communication anyway. It's kind of like a sideline great thing that happens, because you put yourself in alignment and you're so grounded, you can't not. And so it does happen, but we don't call it, I'm going to sit and do animal communication now. It just kind of happens anyway. There's been loads of amazing stuff over the years that have happened on the retreats, which we've gone, wow, energy wise and what have you. So yeah, they're always a really good experience to have. If you want to understand more about your dog's energy field, and how that influences their behavior, because for me it's the other way of doing dog training. We have, to me, we've almost exhausted looking at the dog's mind. We've got neuropathway books, we've got think dog books, we've got everything synapse books, we've got vagus nerve neurotransmitter, like we've got everything. We totally get now that the biome affects the neurotransmitters which go up to the brain, even like we've even there with the gut bit. But there's the heart side of it, and the heart field is, to me, this is measurable. This is published science that's in Fatina. This is published science that's in the Institute of Heart Math, published data. And the heart field is the most influential on how we feel and our emotional energy. So and it's not about living from the heart, it's about unifying the heart and the mind, really, especially for us as guardians. And it is about really grounding and calming the dog. So for instance, the best way to talk about canine flow is to talk about an example of behavior, because it's really hard to understand it without seeing how. So I'll give you two. So you were mentioning separation anxiety earlier. Now we have found in canine flow that if you work on your connection, okay, and this is a subconscious energy connection, because people think, oh, I love my dog knows it, we're connected, but you still got separation anxiety happening. If you work on the subconscious energy connection between your energy field and your dog's energy field with canine flow, the separation anxiety, while you're with your dog, the separation anxiety isn't so prevalent when you're not with your dog, because they feel safe and grounded. It's what happens is the dog doesn't feel safe and grounded. And so they're coming to you to obtain that safety and grounded. You go and they're lost. If you can help them to feel safe and grounded by strengthening that connection when you are there, when you go, they don't do the separation anxiety. So it's a different way of working with it. And if you still want to do the other stuff as well, you do the other stuff as well. It doesn't go against it. It doesn't diminish it. It's just a second other way of working with dogs. And then the way we see dogs, because we see them as electromagnetic beings, or rather magnetoelectric, because it's the magnetic aspect from the heart that's the most measurable. So they are like magnetic beings. When two dogs are coming together, just in a street or something, they're like two magnets, essentially. That's how I see them. So no wonder they want to ground on each other. They want to connect, or it may be they repel, because it depends which way their polarity is. But what the dog is essentially doing is they're connecting, and they're north and southing. So this is why they sniff each other's bums, not just because they want to get to all those smelly anal gland parts and find out sort of who they are that way. That they do that as well, but they're also trying to connect and make one giant field. And this isn't thought about. This is just what nature does, and lots of nature does this. The dog just happens to do it as well. So they're making that north and south polarity, and the problems come when either we're stopping them, so we're not allowing the fields to unite effectively, or we're putting tension in the field, or we're putting one of these emotional energies into the field, which, like fear, that we don't necessarily want to be there, so they find hard. Or one or the other cannot do that because they're just not in alignment. They're not grounded enough to be in alignment. And so one will try to ground the other one's energy, and they tend to do that with their mouth. Dogs ground with their mouth. We ground a lot with our mouth, but we ground with our hands as well. So we hug, we hit out, we paint, all these things we do with our hands are grounding us. Grounding our emotional energy, which is flowing through us permanently all the time, grounds out through us. And so dogs, because they're down like this, they have this bit to use to ground with. So when they're sniffing, they're grounding. When they're chewing, they're grounding. Any canine enrichment is emotional grounding. It's got nothing to do with the mind. You're not tiring them mentally. You're
Mm.
making them emotionally content, which is super cool. And I prefer that to mentally tiring them any day of the week. So yeah, it's all about an energy flow. That's why it's called canine flow. So we learn just a different way of being with dogs. And I teach that on my online course, but then people come on the retreats because they want to practice all the techniques for supporting flow, releasing what I call charge of energy. So if they build up a charge, a magnetic charge, the dog has to give it out quickly somewhere. They don't have a choice. It has to come out. Otherwise, if it doesn't come out, which is rare, but if it doesn't come out at all, it will create an ailment. Now, sometimes it can be that they're releasing some of their charge, but but for whatever reason, maybe tension patterns in the body, some of the charge is accumulating somatically, and that could be a minor ailment, maybe like skin issues or something like that. So it's all to do with, again, with their frequency and their energy flow. If I talk about it anymore, it's just going to start to be more complicated. But when you do the course, you have me for much longer, so it's easier to then understand. And when you come on the retreat, it just starts to all fall into place because you see it in the dogs and you see this other way that they are, that, and you go, wow, I've been missing this. Like, how did I miss this? I just thought everything they did was thought about, or everything they did was a mind-based or a neuro-based way. And not everything they do is, you see. And it's almost, I feel like we've been missing this whole other way of understanding dogs. I haven't, and people that have met me, but like the whole entire behavior training um,
Mm.
Mm. I
world
just felt this.
is almost
Yeah.
missing that completely.
Yeah.
Even when they talk about emotions, they talk about emotions as if they're something that's concocted in the mind. Emotions are an energy. Why do you think homeopathy works? You
Mhm.
see, because they're an energy, they're measurable. The Institute of Heart Math has measured these different emotions in us. They have a frequency. They're nothing to do with the mind. We would think, oh goodness, I felt this certain way, or oh goodness, I did this because, like, but that's after,
Mm.
you know? So it's just, dogs are so beautiful because they're that real, pure emotional energy. They won't ever lie to you. Like, they will snap out and ground on something because they know that that energy needs grounding. We would be like morally, oh no, I better not punch that person, even though they really trigger me. Whereas the dog is just like, you've got an energy that needs grounding, or I've got a charge, you're going to have it.
You can just see
And
the comic strip, but officer, I've just been
yeah,
on a canine
exactly.
flow course and the energy needed grounding.
Yeah. Well, the techniques, of course, teach you how to release charge in your dog, how to help you. Like, they're beyond emotional, beyond canine enrichment. Canine enrichment's super cool, but it's like loads of other stuff you can do to help them to release charge and to notice when it's gone in there as well. So you learn what I call the three flow step. So you learn how to notice when a charge is there, how to get the dog's body as resilient to holding charge as possible, and how to release it if it is there. So,
Mm. And
yeah.
so, Carolyn, on these retreats, do everyone bring their dogs? Is it like a big
Yeah.
dog fest? Or... Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but we only have like 8 people. Yeah. Everyone
Okay.
has a room with their dog, and yeah, yeah, and yeah, of
Oh, they
course,
all
yeah.
have their own room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we have like
Okay.
a big, well, the venue I was using, we had a very big, like, renovated barn. And we all went in there to do our meditations and to do our practicing. And then, yeah, I would teach something, and then people would go off in little groups of 3 or 2 or something and practice. Yeah, so it always has worked in that way. But so if this venue is sold, it'd be such a shame. I'm going to have to look
We
for
have to
somewhere.
buy it.
Oh God, I wish I could, Tina. It's only for what it is, 550,000. So it's not a lot, but in the grand scheme of things,
Mm.
but yeah, it's not something I could just lay my hands on. Yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
I don't know. There we are. Maybe you can come back and buy it with me. But yeah, I've taken up loads of time talking about that. So
You
we've
should put a
missed it.
link to the canine flow
I
course
I
under
will.
this
I will.
video.
I will. People are very welcome to do it. Yeah.
Caroline's,
Amazing.
who's listening, just commented that one of her dogs will always come and sit on her just when she knows that she's got to get up. So just you know, and that
Love
how we
that.
sense each other, how we know. I very often wonder, you know, how can they know? You know, it's
Because they can
so clear.
sense
They
it.
read us the whole
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
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 they do. Of course they do. Yeah.
They
That's
notice the
so
shift in
funny.
energy.
And then her dog is like, no, you need more rest, Mom.
yeah. You think you're going to get up in a minute, but actually,
Yeah.
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 I'm
Or
surprised,
cuddling
Caroline, we're
instead.
having this conversation without you mentioning Rupert Sheldrake, because that's
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. So, well, his is the morphic field theories, which is slightly different to Ken and Flo, but I suppose would
No,
have
no, but it's
something.
related to the bigger topic of
Mm.
the energy that we share and what we
Mm.
pick up from each other,
Yeah,
and
of course. Yeah.
yeah, which is so
Anyway.
so
Another
interesting.
scientist that has totally proven all this stuff,
Mm.
Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he would
No, but
have
that's what I
loved
love
your
about
communication stuff.
that's what
He's
I
the
love
one that
about
did the.
Australia as well.
So sorry.
It's how like holistic everything is. Like you actually have
Mm.
integrated practices around. You have integrated doctors around. Even though such a like small, like there's not that many people living in Australia compared to how large the country is. And I think you guys said you've been there as well
Yeah,
to
but a
Australia.
I
long
have,
time
yeah.
ago.
Yeah. About 20
Yeah,
years ago, probably I was there.
yeah. And you said it was like England, just bigger.
Yeah, but also they did have once, because in the sort of 7 months I was there, I needed to go to the doctors once, and they immediately sent me to it was like another part of the act of the traditional mainstream doctor surgery. They had allergy testing that you were doing with, like, I'm sure it was just with rods, like you do with bioresonance and what have you. And they gave me this allergy test, and it came up with loads of stuff that I'd never liked since a kid. And I thought, oh, how interesting. So some of the things that I haven't liked, there's a reason for that. And that was just, it was like out the doctor's door, through another door, and you just did it. And I remember thinking, wow, that's like really far ahead than the UK.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. I feel like a bit like the US are obviously way ahead when it comes to like integrative stuff, but I feel like Australia is like just behind it with a lot of different things. So even like in people here, a lot more people are aware of like gluten intolerances, lactose, eating sugar-free diets, stuff like that. People are just way ahead, so it's so much easier to like shop and to find your right stuff here. Um, and oh, I love Australia. The nature is beautiful. The weather is always great. Like the sun always shines and the sky is like always like clear blue. It just, I feel like I live in like a parallel universe compared to living in, like I used to live in the UK. It's just like gray. All the time is gray.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And here's like I wake up in the morning and the sun hits my eyes. And also I don't know if you've seen online, like everyone gets up like super early. And I realized after I got here why that is. It's literally like it gets dark pretty soon and it gets like pitch black. It's like pitch black at like 7, 8 p.m. And then the sun starts to go up at like 6 in the morning. And so yeah, it completely shifted my day around. And now I go to bed at like 9 and I get up like quite early. Not this early, but a lot
You'll get
earlier than
used
what
to
I
it.
did back
You'll
in
get used
Europe.
to it.
Which I think is a much healthier way to do it because I feel like I'm following the circadian rhythm a lot more here
Mm.
than I did before. And yeah, people are really friendly. The economy is really good. I feel like there's so much to do here. People are so everyone does so much stuff. Like I used to live in Nelson Bay in Australia, and then now I'm just south of that. But like I would go to CrossFit, and there'll be a lady who's like twice, 3 times my age, doing pull-ups and lifting bars. And I would go to like park run on a Saturday morning early, and then there would be like 60, 70-year-olds running past me. Like people are just so sporty here. It's ridiculous. Like everyone's like, I don't know, I'm feeling most people are so sporty. They're always out. They're always out and about and
Because it's
active and doing things.
sunny. Because it's sunny. That's why they've all got loads of vitamin D. And they're all charged up by the sun in a good way.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. It's really good. So I just feel like there's a different lifestyle over here. And like the retired people are actually happy. They're actually enjoying their retirement time compared to maybe back where I come from. And there's like these retirement villages, and I really love the way they take care of older people here as well. So like one thing I've been dreaming about is like having a little, I didn't have a word for it, but I wanted a little house for my mom on my future farm where she could, we could live together because it's so unnatural, we isolate ourselves, the families are separated. It's just, I feel like it's not natural. I feel like, it's so much easier when you have a parent or grandparent that can help you with things. They can help you with the chores. They can help you with the kids, like all these kind of things. Just makes it more, wholesome. And here, that's literally a thing. I moved right into something called a granny flat. I don't know, maybe it is a thing in the UK as well, but I never heard about it until
Yeah,
I
it is.
went to Australia, where it's like literally they build a little house on the property where the grandparents live, and everyone just lives on the same property. And I just feel like it's so much more community based. And I don't know, I just feel like they take a lot better care of their oldest here. Like instead of kind of stewing them into a home, they have granny flats, they have retirement villages. They're massive and they look gorgeous, and they have like pools and like
Yeah.
ping pong tables and all these things. And it is like, I feel like it's like a fun camp, but for older people. It's amazing.
Do they
I
have
think
cats?
we're going to watch
We
you
should
just,
have cats.
we're going to watch you transform into an Australian, and the accent is going to start
Oh, I know.
appearing.
Oh yeah, occasionally I'll have some slang coming in and out, but my boyfriend keeps whipping me for trying to say things with an Australian accent, so it goes a bit back and forth. My mind's a bit confused about the accent. But yeah, I absolutely love it here, and I did actually get to work on koalas. I haven't worked directly on kangaroos yet, but maybe that's in the future. It's can do a lot of volunteering around here. There's a lot of bushfires. There's a huge problem, especially in the koala population, that they're suffering from chlamydia, which is
Oh,
not a zoonosis. It's not the same that goes to people, but it's their own strain. So most issues that the animals and stuff are having in Australia is introduced stuff. So it was a separated island. That's why everything grew so big, massive spiders and big snakes, and all that stuff kind of when it was an isolated island. And then we brought in our livestock, and that's essentially how they thought that chlamydia spread through bringing in a similar strain that is seen in livestock. So so a lot of those issues come from things we brought in, basically.
So what kind of issues do koalas get from chlamydia? What does it
Oh,
do in
this
koalas?
especially, yeah, they get really sick, so this affects everything. It's like their gastrointestinal system. You usually see it on their eyes. They're very swollen and red.
oh,
They get swelling of all the mucous membranes. They get general illness. I don't remember exactly, but it affects a lot of blood parameters as well. So it makes them really ill, and it takes ages to treat as well. And one thing I found a bit funny here as well is they're actually just naturally doing fecal transplants because koalas are one of those animals that are really sensitive in the hindgut, and using antibiotics is a little bit scary in them, but they do use them for like several months. And so I forgot what they call the slur, but they take feces from another koala, mix it, and then give it to the koalas just inherently. And that's
wow.
not no woo woo, it's just medicine,
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's
I
very
love
interesting.
that. Well, that's good because I mean they've worked out something that works there for the koalas.
Yeah, and it's really like I love koalas in that sense because it's actually like a focus on the gut microbiome as well. I don't know if you guys know if I pronounce this right, but when the baby koala is born, they will get something I think called pop from their mother, which is essentially they eat their poop to
Mm.
get the
Like
microbes
rabbits.
that they need to
Mm, mm.
a little bit, they're a little bit different as well because that's like cecotrophs, which is like their whole life they will eat an undigested poo, and then they will have two different types of poos, but they will always eat that one type of poo. But in koalas, it's literally just when they're little, they will eat their mom's
Like
pop,
a starter
which is like
pack, a
Yeah.
microbiome
yeah,
starter
Yeah,
pack.
I love
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. That's essentially what it is. And then eventually they grow up and they don't eat their poo or anything like that anymore. But it's just like a starter pack to get the right microbes so they can break down the eucalyptus, which essentially is toxic, but they're developed so they digest it, which is just incredible. So I think it's very interesting animals.
That's
Because
So much
we
more
do
to learn
amazing.
get,
from.
but we get a starter pack. we just get it from
We get it from the vagina, yeah,
from the
when we're
vagina
born,
as
which
we're
is why
born.
there are, you know, long-term issues if you're born by cesarean,
Yeah.
because you're missing
Yeah.
out on that first establishing of your microbiome. Yeah, absolutely.
So
We
tell
are
me how, I know we're nearly there. I just am interested to know how koalas are actually born. Are they born in a sac,
They have a
or are they?
cloaca. They have a cloaca. So everything essentially comes out of the same hole,
like
like
chickens,
a
like the
bird.
anus and the vulva is
Mhm.
the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, right. So they are born. Are they in a sac? They must be in a
They
something
have
that's ripped
a
apart by
pouch,
the. Okay, right.
marsupials, yeah.
Of course, yeah. So the koalas are the same as the kangaroo. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of different marsupials in Australia. Now I haven't, specialized in this yet. That's actually my next mission. I want to do a course on Australian wildlife because I want to understand them better. But it's interesting because I feel like everything I do with wildlife, a lot of it I can transfer into domestic animals as well. It's like when I'm looking at like diet and stuff and carnivores in Australia, I did a lot of coursing on like cheetah nutrition and stuff like that and their genetic diversity. And then things, the more you learn about the wild side of things, the more you kind of understand also why dogs are where they are today and how they
Mm.
were meant to
It's just
eat
amazing.
Yeah.
and live.
I'm gonna this just because we have had one question that can't really wait because it's a dog that needs an urgent answer. So we're gonna do one question. And can I just say again to those who asked about titer testing and neutering and false pregnancies and pyometra that we will talk about this. It's just that we
We
had to
have
talk
talked
about
about
koalas.
it.
You know, we never know where this
I
is going to
feel like
go, and that's one of the things I love about it. But koalas and Clostridia was for today, and we will get to the other topics, and we have talked about them before as well. But there's just one question that I really think we should do, which is from Meredith, who says, I'm just going to read it. My dog seems to have injured his side dew claw on his front right paw. It is inflamed and tender to the touch. X-rays showed possible infection or melanoma, but we do recall a couple of injury incidences, so I believe it's damage to the bone. The vet recommends amputation of the dew claw and that whole joint, but can't get him in for a month. So what can I be doing in that time to heal the bone and help the inflammation? He's a 100-pound black lab male, unneutered. So it's a big Labrador with a dew claw, fairly acute issue.
I'm I'm surprised that they'll take him in like within a month, like if
I
it's
know, and
Yeah.
infected.
that's why
Yeah.
I wanted to cover
It's
this.
kind
I
of
didn't want to
Yeah.
postpone this one. That's exactly what I picked up on, and I swore when
Yeah.
I read this, and I'm not going to swear now, but I mean, if it needs
You're
surgery,
not a
it needs
vet.
surgery. Yeah, it either
Yeah,
needs surgery or it doesn't need surgery. You can't say this really needs surgery. We can do it in a month. So I
yeah,
think if there is an issue that this could be a cancer or it could be a bone injury that actually needs surgery, then it is absolutely not okay to postpone for a month.
no, especially if
So
it can be a tumor as well. That can grow a lot in a month.
exactly, it can be the
So
difference between life and death. And if there's an open question about if they are saying, I mean, I may be overinterpreting this, but my response was exactly yours, Tina, that if they think we don't know what this is, it could be serious, and we think it needs surgery, then it needs surgery. And if it's too late this week, it absolutely needs surgery next week. So I would just not take that as a acceptable answer. I would see a different person tomorrow if you possibly can, Meredith, and either it's a surgical case or it's not a surgical case. And if it is a surgical case, it cannot wait a month. I think that's the main point. Absolutely.
yeah,
That
definitely, definitely. You
don't.
need to find a vet that has the time
Yeah,
for you because if
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
infected
You
or if it's
you,
a
you need to
cancer,
find
that
a
can do a
different
lot of
vet.
damage. Yeah.
Unless we're somehow misinterpreting the way the question is framed, I really think you need a different vet because that's not acceptable. In terms of treating it, I would say anything acute trauma related and homeopathy, it's the homeopathic remedy arnica that you need to give
Annika.
lots and lots and lots. But arnica is not instead of surgery or instead of finding a different way to look at it. And I am not at all saying give it arnica for a month and then have surgery. If you've got arnica in the house, as we all should, by all means give it arnica and arnica and arnica, lots of doses today and tomorrow. but you need another vet, and you need some action on that and a decision on whether or not that needs surgery. And if it does need surgery, it can't wait. That's
Mm. And
I
if it's
would
a
say,
broken
oh, go
claw
on.
as well, then yeah, I would
yeah,
soak
you
the
can't.
foot daily in like salt water or something as well to keep it clean. Make sure it
Yep,
doesn't get dirt in there to make it more infected. Very important.
But
yep.
not wait a month. I mean, that's
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about it really. I mean, whether in the meantime, if it turns out it doesn't need surgery, you can use the Photizo laser light on it to bring down any inflammation, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be good for that, but it's the kind of thing the Photizo people would be able to tell you, and it
yeah, but
certainly
also
helps
before even
reduces
considering that, you
inflammation.
need to know what it is.
Oh, yes, of course you do, but that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
yeah, we need to know what it is, but then I would say that that would be something quite useful. I also think as well that a lot of the time I've seen in so many dogs, including my mum's Scotty years ago, that the nail was taken off, but then the infection carried on up the toe. So they took
Mm.
the toe off. And then they were like, well, we might have to take off more. And it's like it just keeps going up, and they're not really actually going for the root of the issue. They're sort of
And you get
chasing it
so many,
along.
once you've amputated a toe, you're never going to
Yeah.
get normal gait. There are so
Yes.
many problems that comes from that. We don't even know if it's cancer or a fracture or an infection, or you just need to find a
Mm,
serious vet, a
another vet.
responsible vet,
Yeah.
and
If
ASAP,
it's a
really.
dew claw though, if it's a dew claw though, it usually doesn't affect the gait too much.
That's
Oh,
It's
no,
more
that's
true.
just
true. It's a dew
Yeah,
claw.
that
Yeah.
is a dew claw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking, yeah, when I was
Yeah.
explaining about mum's dog, but yeah, that's true. It is a dew claw. But
But
yeah,
still,
even
if you
so,
don't know what it is, it needs to be
yeah,
investigated. And if it's a
yeah.
surgical matter, it needs to be done. It can't wait till after Christmas.
And then come back and tell us what it was, and we can tell you to do more stuff.
Yes, please. Once we know what it is,
Yeah.
absolutely. We are over our time limit that I am strictly enforcing. It was so good to see you, Tina. Now
yeah,
that we've heard you all say on air that you get up early and it's nice, so we expect to see you back
Exactly.
sure.
very soon. It was great to see you. Thanks for joining us, everybody.